Welcome back to the Runaround, as always brought to you by Holabird Sports here on ESPN 1300 AM. If you want great customer service for all of your running needs, check them out at holabirdsports.com. Once again, that's Holabird Sports. I'm your co-host, Greg Jubb, alongside Brad Jager and Ryan McGrath, and we have Rob on the phone here. Rob, you're our fifth caller, my friend.
Hey, excellent. How you guys doing tonight? Doing
pretty good. I'm telling you what, you're going to be the proud owner of a slick new Runaround t-shirt. It's very comfortable. We're wearing it right now. So, just want to wish you congratulations. Thanks for calling in. I hope you keep listening to the show. Tell your friends about the show. I'm telling you, nothing like it around here in Baltimore.
Send you back to
hey, I appreciate having a running show on. I mean, I'm just so excited as a lifelong Baltimore runner to be getting some weekly coverage like this, and props to Jason Hartman for his awesome job at Boston. I mean, to get fourth against that kind of competition on such a hot day in Boston is just amazing.
I'll tell you what, Rob, you stay on the line for our producer here. He's going to take care of all the information he's going to need for us to get you the T-shirt. But stay on the show after that, because we're going to be talking to Jason in just a hot second here. But thanks for calling in.
I'll be listening. Okay, thanks.
Thanks, man.
All right, but yeah, Jason Hartman, I mean, really, I talked to him on the phone to set up this interview. Really a class act guy. And, you know, we're excited to have him on the show. We're going to talk to him in just a second here. But really, let's review what he's done. He got 32nd at the Olympic marathon trials, running 2:16. I know that really wasn't what he wanted. So to come back, bounce back, and then place fourth at the Boston Marathon, really where Americans, other than Ryan Hall, haven't placed too high as of late. It's always been like, when's the last American that has won Boston? I mean, everyone asks that. No one really knows.
And you can see it really meant.
Greg Meyer.
I think Brad might have been on hand for that one.
And you can see he was really.
Brad actually hopped the train. No one ever told him.
Brad Ruiz.
I was wondering what he was doing out there. Why it meant something to him. You know, he was smiling coming down Boylston Street, where everybody else was dying and weaving back and forth.
Yeah. Anyway, right now we have Jason Hartman on the phone. He was the top American and fourth place finisher overall at the Boston Marathon, like we just said. Jason, you're in the Runaround, my friend. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me. Pleasure to be here.
So are you still reeling after this race? How are you feeling about that?
Well, my feet haven't yet hit the ground. I mean, the national notoriety from my performance has been just crazy. To go from a relatively unknown as far as a national runner to being the face of, I wouldn't say the face, but just having a great day at the Boston Marathon.
We just had one of our listeners call in and want a free Runaround T-shirt, and he said he was so pumped to hear Jason Hartman on the phone. In fact, he's talking to our producer right now to get his T-shirt squared away. He can't wait to get back on the radio and listen to this interview. So, but let's start with this. I mean, he had a tough race at the Olympic trials where he placed 32nd. What's it like to bounce back after a race like that, where it can be mentally defeating, and then come and run a race like Boston, where you really just set fire to the stage?
Well, to start at the marathon trials, I mean, at our level, the professional level, our ultimate goal is to make the Olympic team, and to come up short and not accomplish what your goal was, that's really disappointing. So after the race and a couple of weeks after, I was just in a dark room, just depressed and everything. And then I was like, you know what, I need to rebound from this, and I need to find a race that allows me to do that and change my focus a little bit. So that's kind of why I did Boston. And, fortunately for me in the day, it worked out.
Coming down Boylston Street towards the finish, where the first three finishers looked like they were having a really tough day, you had a big smile on your face. Did you feel that crowd and that energy?
Well, definitely. Actually, there's points in the race that I had where I was like, I don't know if I can make it anymore, and the crowd really carried me through. And I've been, as people ask me my experience there, and I would, as a running show, I would highly recommend everybody do Boston because it's just a great experience. The crowd really is a great benefit, and they were huge in my success.
Jason, what did you think of right before the half and you hit Wellesley? If you've never experienced that before, can you try and explain to the listeners what that sound is like?
Well, it was seriously loud, but it's all girls college, so there's just women lining all the whole street, and you're in the zone and everything, but I was telling some friends that I saw a woman or a girl holding a sign, and the sign read, "Kiss me, I'm graduating," and you're in the zone and stuff, but you're like, wow, I was aware of that, and that was kind of funny.
Chicks, man.
So it's really about the atmosphere at that race, but I'll tell you what's the staple of the race this year, the heat. Now, I know all the times this year would suggest that it was tough for everyone, but you seem to hold on pretty well, considering we looked up your PR before this, and it was 2:11. So that means you're only about 3 minutes off your PR. Do you think you won out conservatively? Because you moved up from 7th to 4th in the final stage of the race. How did you manage that heat so well?
Well, it was a couple of things. Having a good race plan was one. My goal going in was to make it to 21 miles with legs, because from 16 to 21, you are climbing, and getting through that spot and being confident enough that I could carry my the rest of the race through, because the last 21 to 26 is relatively downhill in terms of the course. So my race plan was to get there with some running and allowing myself to compete, and then also fueling and using the fluids and stuff that was provided on the course as just using and pouring on my head, and then trying to keep myself as cool as possible.
Excuse me.
Brad, he's got a little bit of a cold here. It looks like he's hacking away.
The nice thing about Boston, we were able to track everybody's 5K splits and also your pace per mile. We noticed, like, right after the halfway point, your 5K times really started jumping up, 5:08, 5:12, 5:16. Did you notice that, and not just going through the hills, that maybe it was the heat that was taking a toll on you?
Yeah, but it's an effort thing, so just trying to maintain the same effort. The heat was, and some people had said that it was 100 degrees on the road. So, like I said, just trying to get fluids in and put water on my head just to stay as cool as possible, and get to the mark of 21 miles for me. And so that's kind of what I focused on. Not so much the actual heat. I feel as strongly about not, when I step to the line, just not beating myself. And if I would have let the heat bother me or be like, oh, I can't do this in the heat, I wouldn't have had the day I did have.
And you mentioned just previously about, making sure you were taking water on board and everything. So obviously, people may not know that some of the elites in some of the bigger races will have their own water table. Did you set anything aside in particular for yourself? Did you have any sort of nutrition plan out there for electrolytes and salt, perhaps?
I've had success with, I usually do a energy drink and then a gel, and so I'll do a gel every half an hour, and then the last few I'll put a gel on each bottle just in case, if I feel like I'm going to potentially bonk, so I just have it as a backup. And then anytime there was a water station, the race provided, they had, I think it was Gatorade and water at every 2 miles. So using those things to my advantage, and really just trying to focus on being patient but cool too at the same time.
Now, Jason, let's switch gears here. What really made the running press, if you will, what made big news is that the fact that you're not quite as compact as a lot of the marathoners out there. A lot of the people, you could even see pictures, the guys you're running against, the Kenyans and Ethiopians, are shorter and probably a little bit svelter, if you will. Do you find that talk about size and stature, do you feel like that's overrated? Do you feel as though that you're just as capable as running the long distances as everyone else, or do you do anything in particular to help maintain your race form and whatnot while you're in the middle of a race? Just given the fact that you are a little bit longer, a little bit bigger.
Yeah, I mean, I have to carry more weight than most other people I compete against. I see it as a advantage in the sense that if I ever got in a fight with anybody in the race, I probably could beat them up. So,
or if you took them on in a game of basketball, right?
Exactly. So, I really can't change what my makeup is, and for me, what I focus on is what I can do, and I think everybody, especially being taller and stuff, oh, he can't do it, he can't do it. Well, I did it, and I feel like I could do it better, So I try to tend to focus on the things I can do, and I'm putting myself in positions where I can compete and not beating myself. So if people step to the line and they're like, oh, it's too hot, I'm not going to have a good day. Well, I think in terms of the opposite. I'm going to have a good day regardless of what the conditions are, and just staying mentally in the moment and allowing yourself to compete.
Leading up to the day of the race, when the weather reports kept saying how hot it was going to be, and then every day it kept saying it was going to be a little bit hotter, were you paying attention to those weather reports or just continually focusing on your strategy for competing in the race?
I was more focused on the strategy. I mean, maybe I paid a little more attention to making sure that I was hydrated, getting fluids in prior to like the day before, and then leading up to the start of the race. But it didn't necessarily change my my focus or my outlook on things.
Now, a lot of people were out there after the race really not feeling well, and some of them that I had talked to were saying they might have drank a little bit too much water. Do you find, is there a balance between overhydrating and, and just hydrating enough?
Yeah, but I think that's a personal thing too. I think as runners, if you are taking on too much fluid. So I tend to, I have options like later on in the race, like if I have a gel, like if I need it or not. So like you can overdrink, and then that creates cramps, and then if you don't drink enough, that can create cramps too. And so it's a hard science, really.
Now, Jason, you've been quoted to say that if your career ended after that race, you'd be fine with it. Now that the race has settled in a little bit, and you said your feet are going to be back on the ground soon, do you think that's still going to be true, or do you find yourself thinking that there's more in there, more races out there for you?
Well, if I continue going on, I definitely think that I have more to accomplish, and if I didn't feel that way, I would probably just announce my retirement right now. But I still feel I have a lot left in the sport, and I'm relatively new to the marathon. I think that was my seventh or eighth marathon, and after the performance that I did have, I feel like there's a lot left in the tank.
So what specifically do you think you'll be doing, or if you know yet?
Long term, probably a marathon in the fall, maybe New York and or Chicago. Like those major marathons are as close to the Olympics as you can get, just because of the level of talent and the people you are competing against.
Do New York. I'll pace you for the first mile uphill.
Okay. Well, that's good. That's good. That's good. It's uphill.
Wearing the Runaround T-shirt, of course, right, Ryan?
Yes, of course.
All right, Jason. Well, we want to wish you the best of luck. Thanks so much for joining us. We know you have a lot of fans out there, not only in the Baltimore, Washington, D.C. Area, but also around the nation. So best of luck to you, and we'll be following you.
Well, thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
All right. Thanks for calling in.
All right.
Yep. Have a great day.
And in just a moment, we're going to talk to Jesse Jaeger. He may have some relation to Brad. We haven't found out yet, but he was the fourth Maryland finisher at the Boston Marathon. He's going to talk to us about his first experience at Boston and what it's like racing in Beantown in the heat and tough conditions. All that and more coming up.